Good morning, my friends. Brian King here. There's a common dilemma amongst parents that have kids with special needs, especially Asperger's, ADHD, and so on. Kids that are very easily emotionally overwhelmed or easily frustrated and tend to tantrum at the drop of a hat. Or when they do tantrum, it's very intense and sometimes it can be long. And in many cases, parents want to swoop in and immediately offer a solution. They'll say, okay, let's see what we can do about this, or what, and this one is extra special. I want you to pay particular attention to this one, where you say, stop that, do this instead, or you shouldn't be so upset about this, this is how you should feel. When you're running in and immediately instructing your child that they ought to be having a different experience than the one they're having. That's guaranteed to piss off any kid. Especially one that's so emotionally ramped up. And I was talking to a client yesterday, and this happens a lot within the relationship. My client feels very frustrated, very overwhelmed, very emotional. And the first thing the parents want to do is fix it. And of course, that leads to a more intense reaction. And the reality is, as much as we point to our kids and say, my child is very inflexible in their thinking, my child has black and white thinking, sometimes the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree on that, and the parents can have it as well. They think of it in terms of, I help my child or I don't help my child. So it's either hands off or it's rush in. There is a middle ground that a lot of people miss. In fact, I know a lot of other professionals that don't have a clue about this subtle middle ground that is really, really critical in helping bridge that gap between helping and not helping. And it also serves to help you be more attentive, present, and connect with your child during their more intense emotional experiences. And this is how it works. You see your child very anxious. Your child is very upset. You know your child doesn't like living in this space, and neither do you. And you want to help, but you know that if you try and help now, it's going to make things worse. So what do? What you do is you emphasize connecting with your child and validating his or her experience. And it sounds like this. Honey, I can see that you're really frustrated. I can see that you're really upset. I want you to know that I get it. And once we get through this moment, then we can talk about what to do next. You let me know when you're ready. When you explain it like that, you're telling them that you recognize the emotion they're having, that it's a valid experience for them, that it's okay to have this emotion, and that it is possible to get through it, and lastly, that you will be there the whole time. You'll be there when they get through it, and when they're ready to talk about solutions, you'll be there too. There's a whole lot of thinking out there in terms of planned ignoring, pretending like you don't see it. I'm not a big fan of approaches like that. I'm a big fan of connecting with your child, but not enabling the behavior. Big difference. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about encouraging it because you're validating it. Because part of the conversation that you have with your child is that this is temporary, you'll get through it, and when you're done, we'll explore something better. And then when they're ready to come to you and say, okay, I'm ready to talk now, then you can start talking about solutions. So it's not a matter of you swoop in or your hands off. The middle ground is often the most important piece, and it's something that a lot of parents miss. And unfortunately, in our behavior-focused, black and white thinking world, the middle ground is often not even considered. And in the coaching that I do and the stuff that I've discovered, that is where the most powerful transformation can take place. Discovering that middle ground. So here's one example of it for you today. Hope this has been helpful. If you can think of anybody else that might find value from this, feel free to pass it forward. Talk to you again soon.